Welcome, everyone. I'm so glad that you have joined me this evening for this webinar. My name is Erleen Tilton, and I'm happy to have you here to this webinar, which is Say No to Sunscreens Unless. You understand the sun and what you are putting on your skin. Now, we have seen in the last 50 years, actually, the real push for sunscreens. And when it comes to skin cancer, the interesting thing is we all want beautiful skin. Your skin is the largest organ of your body. And so we should care about what's going on in our skin. And over the years, I have watched well-meaning, caring mothers who have slathered their children with sunscreen before they go out to play every day. And what they just don't realize is that vitamin D deficiency is at an all-time high, and skin cancer is also at an all-time high. These are facts that we really need to be concerned about, and we really need to think more about the sun and what we're putting on our skin. So let's first talk about vitamin D. This chart on the left to me is appalling because it helps us understand here in the US how many nutrient deficiencies that we have. More than 40% of our people are deficient in vitamin A, C, D, and E, calcium, or magnesium. And so if you look at that chart below, the highest one on the chart is actually vitamin D. We are so vitamin D deficient, and we're going to talk about why that's a factor. You see this chart on the right, looking at the age groups and the deficiencies. 40% of our adolescents, our youth, and our children are deficient in vitamin D. 59% of the adults are, and 68% of our elderly are deficient in vitamin D. And so this is something that we need to pay attention to and know how to reverse. So where do we get vitamin D? Well, the main source of and most healthiest way to get vitamin D is actually from the sun. So we can see that a vitamin D deficiency is where vitamin D levels are lower than normal. And it most commonly occurs when people have inadequate sun exposure. So this is where we need to stop and think about, oh, I need to really get out in the sun and spend at least 15 to 30 minutes a day out in the sun without a sunscreen to bring in those rays and to be able to get that vitamin D, because vitamin D is very, very important. I'll explain that next. Other sources of vitamin D come from our fish, salmon, tuna, cod, and also mackerel and herring, some of those other really oily fishes. Also mushrooms, eggs, there's several meats, there's other good sources, but also 2 of our Doterra products have really good sources of vitamin D. And actually, I take these on a daily basis because I feel like we really need good levels of vitamin D. And these are good sources of vitamin D. But we also need to understand that a lot of the reports that have talked about COVID or these other viruses that are prevalent in our day, you are at higher risk if you don't have enough vitamin D. If people would just get out in the sun. I live in Arizona, and do you know, believe it or not, Arizona is one of the lowest when it comes to vitamin D deficiency. I'm sorry, the highest in vitamin D deficiency. Why? We live in the sunshine. We have the sunshine. The reason is because we're not getting out in the sun during the day unless we have sunscreens, and we are doing other things to avoid the sun. And this is hurting us. It's actually increasing our risk to diseases, to viruses, and we are suffering in other ways. So another reason why we really need vitamin D is for increasing our calcium absorption. Do you know that even on that chart that I showed you just beforehand, if you're low in vitamin D, you're usually low in calcium. And that is because we need that vitamin D for that calcium absorption. Vitamin D deficiencies, you can see in children, it can lead to bone softening diseases and more fractures for children. And in adults, it can worsen osteomalacia as well as osteoporosis, and it increases your risk for bone fractures as well as create muscle weakness. You especially see this in the elderly. You see that 68% of them are deficient in vitamin D. And this is why they have so many falls and fractures, because of the muscle weaknesses as well as the broken bones that they have. So the interesting thing too is that vitamin D deficiency is also associated with schizophrenia and other emotional imbalances. So we can see that vitamin D is a very, very important vitamin. We need to get it, and our best sources are actually from the sun. So let's talk a little bit about skin cancer. This is a quote that I found several years ago as I came to know EWG, which is Environmental Working Group. And you can go to ewg.org and find, they test so many products across the board to find out which ones are safe and which ones are not, and they kind of rate them. But here's what they said, that they found that the skin cancer has tripled. Look at these numbers from 1975 to 2010. These numbers have actually tripled. So with all our uses of sunscreens, we have actually tripled in skin cancer. How can that be? Well, I'm going to show you why that is the case in just a minute. So also by EWG, what they found as they tested 2,000 sunscreens and 257 brands, they found that these sunscreens created effects that included estrogen and hormone disruptors, skin irritations, allergic reactions, and damaging free radicals themselves. Well, isn't that what we're trying to prevent, is the damaging free radicals from the sun? And here we are using sunscreens that create that as well. That's scary. Many of them, as toxic as they are totally ineffective. So you cannot just go to the store and get something that's on sale or get something that's the cheapest and expect it to work for you. You could be doing a lot of damage to yourself as well as your family members. So it's really important to understand, again, what you're putting on your skin. Additionally, we have looked at the sun as our enemy, and we have seen all of these skin spots and we blame it on the sun, when actually it is caused from drinking all of these toxic drinks that are full of chemicals, eating all this processed food, using toxic chemical cleaners, and applying all this body and skincare products that contain all these hazardous chemicals. You know, beauty really does come from within. So if we're eating well and eating clean, it's going to show up on our skin. If we're eating foods and drinks that have all these chemicals, what happens is that all these chemicals go to the liver. Well, eventually the liver has to flush it out into the bloodstream. And when it goes into the bloodstream, it goes into our skin. And then as we go outside, the sun actually helps those impurities surface. This is how your skin organ really works. It's trying to do your body a favor. It's trying to remove these toxic chemicals from your body. And since we're not removing them, in our primary pathways of elimination, which is our colon, our liver, and our kidneys, which are our primary pathways, it sends it out through our secondary pathways, our skin. So it's not the sun to blame for these ugly spots. It really is our diet in part. And we need to be aware of that. I think it's interesting to note here that both of my grandfathers were farmers. And they spent many, many hours out in the sun every day for many, many, many years. Both of them lived to be a ripe old age, and neither one of them had skin cancer. Neither one of them ever knew what sunscreens were. And it was really what they ate. They ate out of their gardens, on their farms. They drank water and maybe even their own cow's milk. But they didn't have all this processed foods. They didn't have the chemicals that we have now today. And I think that speaks volumes for people, 100 or 50 years ago, and what their skin was before all these chemicals were introduced into our foods, into our cleaning products, into our body care. This has really taken a toll on our skin. So the first thought is to nourish and protect our skin on a daily basis. Toss all the chemical things that you may have in your home that are going on your skin, and look to those things that you can nourish and protect your skin on a daily basis. This is where I absolutely love the Doterra Abode hand lotion, as well as the rose lotion. Both of these are excellent, excellent products specifically for protecting and nourishing your skin on a daily basis. Additionally, this is my sunscreen protection oil recipe, good for before and after the sun, that I have given to hundreds of people over the past 10 years. This is a wonderful, wonderful recipe, and take a screenshot if you would like, or write down this information. But what I do is I take the 4-ounce fractionated coconut oil bottle and I get it down to half full, put the rest in another container or in another bottle, and just take those 2 ounces and you add the rest of these oils in that. So that's 20 drops of lavender, 8 drops of helichrysum. Both of these are very, very skin protecting. And then either 4 drops of myrrh or 4 drops of Roman chamomile. Then either 2 drops of the undiluted rose oil or 4 to 5 drops of the rose touch. Now, this is optional in this formula, but I always put it in because rose is so good for your skin. Now, the first time I tried this was actually with my 2 red-headed grandsons. They were up visiting me for the week, and this was in the summer several years ago. They were probably 5 and 8 or somewhere around those ages. And our neighbor asked us to, take off with them and picnic and play in the water for the day. So we did that. And before I left, my daughter said, make sure and cover those boys with sunscreen. Well, I told her, I do not use sunscreen, you know that. And so I did use this before we went out in the sun. And then after we came back from getting out of the water, I noticed that I could see them a little pink. So I put it on again. And that evening I looked at both of them and neither one of them had the slightest pink to their skin. So it worked really well. Now I will say that only use doTERRA essential oils for this, because I had a friend that said, I can use my other essential oils. She did. And she reported that her daughter just got sunburned. So I know that this really made a difference. Now, additionally, the wonderful thing about this oil, it's really good for rashes. It's good for baby diaper rash or under the arm rashes or wherever. It's really good for, again, protecting and nourishing your skin. So hopefully you can use this. And this is a good oil to, get up in the morning and put it on before you go out for the day. It's not going to block the sun. It's going to protect and nourish your skin. So just keep that in mind. It's served me well for many years. Now I want to introduce to you Doterra Sun. They have just come out with these new products. And these are the Face and Body Mineral Sunscreen Lotion, the Face and Body Mineral Sunscreen Stick, and the Body Mineral Sunscreen Spray. Totally excited about these. And I will just let you know that I really wasn't sure about whether I could endorse these after my view and take on sunscreens for so many years. And plus, I had found this wonderful sun skin protection oil. So I wasn't sure that I would really want to embrace this. But I can tell you, with doing the study and the research of these, I'm totally excited about them. So let's learn a little bit more about them. So first of all, let's understand the biggest difference between different types of sunscreens. So most of them on the market are actually chemical sunscreens. They actually absorb the UV rays. This is what is creating those free radicals, and why skin cancer has actually tripled in the last 25, 30, 40, 50 years. They can also stay in the bloodstream for a long period of time. They can create hormone disruptors and skin allergies. And this is why you can't just go to the store and grab something off the shelf, because it's probably a chemical sunscreen, and it's doing more harm than good. So here we have the Doterra Sun. It is a mineral formula. Now, mineral formula is not new completely. You've seen them out there with the titanium dioxide or the zinc oxide. So let's learn just a little bit about the mineral and Doterra specifically. They reflect the UV rays, not absorb them. They provide broad spectrum protection and restoration. Now, there's the nano zinc oxide as well as the non-nano zinc oxide. The non-nano actually cannot be absorbed into the bloodstream, and this is what Doterra has chosen, the non-nano zinc oxide. It has many nourishing ingredients as well as essential oils for restoration, and I'm going to show you these in just a second. Now, in creating these sunscreens from Doterra, they were real careful to cover 3 areas. They wanted to make sure they were good for all skin types. They were nourishing and dehydrating. Number 2, they were vegan friendly and cruelty free. And number 3, they were clean, green formulas free of any synthetic ingredients. So let's look at the mineral sunscreen lotion that is for face as well as body. It delivers SPF 30, and it is UVA as well as UVB protection. So it's nourishing and moisturizing. It contains that non-nano zinc oxide plus avocado oil, aloe vera, raspberry seed oil, and vitamin E, plus 3 main essential oils: the carrot seed oil, the frankincense, and helichrysum essential oils. Carrot seed is new to the Doterra line. Actually, we don't get it as a separate oil, but it is used in our sunscreen products. And it provides that water-resistant protection for actually up to 80 minutes. There are no parabens, phthalates, oxybenzone, or synthetic ingredients or any other chemical ingredients in the sunscreen lotion. Then we have the sunscreen stick for face and body. Now, it's interesting that one of the gals online actually did this as just as a trial. She actually took the stick and did it on her husband's back. And he went out in the sun for a period of time, and he came back and he has stripes on his back. Really funny. So this actually delivers an SPF of 40, and It's, again, nourishing and moisturizing, contains that non-nano zinc oxide, but it has the shea butter, the jojoba oil, cocoa butter, as well as the vitamin E. The same essential oils are there. Again, water-resistant protection for up to 80 minutes and no toxic ingredients. So love, love, love that sunscreen stick that is shown to be very effective already. The third one is the mineral sunscreen spray for your body. This one is not for the face, just for the body. This is an SPF 30, and it's actually in a container that has a 360-degree spray. So 360-degree spray is actually where you can turn it upside down and it's still spraying, okay? So nourishing and moisturizing, again, many of the same specifics as far as the non-nano zinc oxide and those other ingredients, the same essential oils and water resistant protection and no chemical or harmful ingredients added. So this is going to be some people's favorite because of this spray. People like the sunscreen sprays. Now, we also have the Doterra After Sun coming out August 1st. And this is exciting because this is after the sun, nourishment. So it's going to provide that skin soothing protection, cooling relief after a day in the sun. It's nourishing, hydrating, high in antioxidants. And look at the ingredients that are really good for nourishing your skin: the aloe vera, the hyaluronic acid. And then we've got a variety of essential oils that are very good for protection and restoration. And again, no unhealthy ingredients in them as well. So this is exciting that we will be able to have this coming out here pretty soon. So this is what I would like you to really ponder for skin protection. First, schedule 15 to 30 minutes in the sun every day without sunscreen. You want to be able to get adequate vitamin D levels. We need this vitamin D. We don't want to look at the sun as our enemy. We want to be able to benefit from the sun in reason, right? And then number two, nourish and cleanse your body daily. This matters. What you put into your body by way of food and drink really matters. Drinking clean water with essential oil is really, really important to remove the impurities and avoid those sunspots, right? And number three, nourish your skin on a daily basis. So we have these lotions that Doterra has, as well as the sun skin protection oil for before and after the sun. Those are very, very nourishing for your body on a daily basis. And then when you have extended periods of time out in the sun, make sure and protect your skin. Use sunscreens that are mineral sunscreens that will really, really protect your skin in a healthy way. Feel confident that Doterra Sun will provide you the safe, natural protection that you really desire and expect from a sunscreen. So where do you start? Well, if you're a Doterra member, you just order it on your regular order template. If you're not yet a wholesale member, just contact the person who invited you here and get that 25% wholesale membership savings. And then you can order 1, 2, or 3 of those Doterra Sun products, plus any of the oils I talked about and the skincare items or anything else that you would really like to get started with. If I invited you here, here is my information there. Please contact me, or you can go and order straight at dropbydropwellness.com. Just click on that Become a Member tab and go from there. Otherwise, I really am grateful that you joined me here tonight, and I hope that you were able to learn something from this presentation, and I hope that it really did give you some insights of where you can actually better protect your skin.